Today we're going to reflect on SD 45.5, Dhananjani Sutta, the Dhananjani Discourse. This the Dhananjani clan is said to be the highest of the Brahmin clans. So here in this clan, the most famous member is a woman, a brahmini, called the brahmini Dhananjani. She's the most famous because she has so much faith in the three jewels. She'll feel just joyful just thinking about the three jewels. And whenever she falls or she makes a mistake, she would utter the words Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa at least 3 times, sometimes more. And she's also a kind of poet, so she will sometimes utter beautiful verses about the three jewels. But she comes from a family which comprises of Brahmins. So the husband is a Bhara dvaja. The husband, of course, is not too happy with her. And according to one story, the husband threatened her with a knife and said, I'm having visitors coming, I'm hosting a big dinner for the other Brahmins, so I don't want you to utter any word about the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Because if you do, I'm going to cut you up with this knife. To threaten with domestic violence. But so what is the reaction? Okay, here we have this story from the commentary. This is what the story says. Okay, this is found on page 47 of the Sutta Discovery. The commentator says, records the dialogue between the Brahmin and the Brahmini. The Brahmin says, Madam, tomorrow if you are to honor that shriveling ascetic before the seated Brahmins, I will slice you from head to foot with that knife, or with this knife, kagga, like slicing the top of a bamboo shoot and making a heap of you. Then he uttered this verse. With this rounded knife or mandalagra, from head to foot I will cut you up like a bamboo shoot if you do not do as I wish. If you say Buddha, if you say Dharma, if you say Sangha, they will live or they will prosper in my house. So this is the threat. But the storyteller goes on. The noble disciple, that is the Brahmini, remained unshaken like the earth itself, unmoved like Mount Sineru. Then she says this to him. Sache me angamangani kamang chejasi brahmana nevahang viramisami buddha setpassa sasana. If all my limbs, or if limb by limb you were to cut up Brahmin as you wish, never will I forsake the teaching of the Supreme Buddha. Nahang oka varadara saka roda yitum jina ditahang buddha setassa chindawamang vadassuva. A noble torchbearer am I, not one to obstruct the champion of the Sakyas. A daughter of the Supreme Buddha am I. Go ahead and cut me or kill me. And it is said that she uttered 500 such verses. And these verses are called Dhananjani's Tanda. And this is from Samyutta Nikaya Commentary, Volume 1, page 225. Okay. So here, the Brahmin, in other words, failed to frighten the wife. So she, in fact, the story was that he got so frustrated, he told her, I give up, you do what you like. Okay. So the first interesting point to note here is that she has great faith. And once you see someone with such great faith, it is very likely she is at least a stream winner. The next point we should note here is that the husband threatens the wife but doesn't really carry it out. So here we find this hyperbolic action, in other words. We often find in Indian literature, or even amongst traditional Indians today, or even among modern Indians, you find very often they would talk hyperbolically, kind of a roundabout way, if you like. This tells us a lot about the way some of the stories, some of the expressions used in the stories, some of the big numbers which are used in the stories. This is a cultural feature, in other words, to show, to stress on the big number, or on the gravity of the situation, and so on. So this is a literary device we must understand when we see this, the use of hyperbole in Indian literature. For example, in the suttas you find it is often mentioned the Buddha going around with 500 monks. And for the Buddha to travel with 500 monks, it is quite a big number, in fact. So here, one explanation we can give here is, what does 500 here mean? Okay, we can say 5, the basic number, the basic idea is 5. Now you remember there were the first 5 monks. So that's the very first group that the Buddha had, the very first group of disciples. So instead of giving an exact figure, it is like 5 times 10, you get 500. So 5 times 10, 5 times 100 rather, it becomes 500. So in other words, here 500, it's not exactly a figure 500 as we know it in mathematics. It means a lot of, okay, it's like 5 times 100, okay, or even 5 times 10 if you like. So it is many times 5, many times the original group of 5 months. This is one way of explaining it. And of course, in later literature, you find they feel as if this kind of big number is not enough, so they go on to add more zeros. So it became millions and countless millions, kotis and kotis. Each koti is 10 million. And they go on multiplying until you can imagine the numbers. So that's another story, of course. So here when we say 500, it means quite a lot. So coming back to this hyperbolic action, so you find although the Brahmin threatened to kill a wife, it's just a kind of hoping that the wife won't do it. But the Brahmin also has a wonderful quality, as we'll find out later. Because in this sutta we're going to study, you'll see this Brahmin getting so upset. He says, why did the Brahmin got upset? Because while the other visiting Brahmins were being served at a big dinner, this Brahmini Dhananjani slipped, and then, as we say in local language, local Malay, we say lata. So she said namo tassa, the usual way she loved to say it. And this is almost a very humorous situation. When the visiting Brahmins heard this, they got such a shock. You can imagine their eyes became very big and they look aghast. Some of them spat out the food they were eating and so on, and they felt that the place has been desecrated. And of course they all like scattered, like there was today we might say there was a bomb threat. And of course the Brahmin dvaja was upset, and he got very angry. He told the wife, this is too much. I'm going to see this Buddha of yours and I'm going to show that he is wrong. Okay, so again here we see this usual confrontation. Alright, so this is the introduction to the sutta, and let us now look at the sutta. Okay, so this Dhananjani Sutta is S7.1, and the theme here says killing what benefits us. So here we have a clue to the kind of what the sutta is about. Alright, let's look at the sutta. This translation starts on page 48. Yes, the Anjali Sutta on page 50. Thus have I heard, the Blessed One was once staying in the squirrel's feeding ground in the bamboo grove near Rajgaha. At that time, the brahmini named Dhananjani, the wife of a certain brahmin of the Bharadwaja clan, was deeply faithful in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Now, while the brahmini Dhananjani was bringing the brahmin his meal, she stumbled and uttered this Udana inspired utterance. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. She probably said this kind of like as if it's one line, because she was, she was kind of she stumbled and maybe she was fallen on the floor. The translation, of course, is well known. Homage to him, the Lord or the Blessed One, the Arahat, the worthy, the fully self-awakened one. When this was said, the Brahmin of the Bharadwaja clan said this to her: for just merely this outcast of a woman utters praise to that shivering. Now, wretched woman, I will refute the word of the teacher of yours, that teacher of yours. Right, so in other words, the husband now threatened the wife. Then the wife replies, I do not see anyone Brahmin in this world with his gods and his Mara, with its Brahma, this generation with its recluses and Brahmins, its rulers and people, who could refute the teaching of the Blessed One, the Arahat, the fully self-awakened one. But go, Brahmin, after you have gone, you will understand. Okay, so this is almost prophetic words, if you like. So, in other words, the wife is happy that the husband is going. You say, yeah, well, you go, you see. You understand what I'm saying. Right? The story continues. Then the Brahmin of the Bharadwaja clan, angry and displeased, approached the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and friendly exchange was concluded, he sat down at one side. So here again, you see there's a kind of civility. No matter what the situation is, the guest would always talk nicely to the host, because they're cultured people. They will greet the Buddha. Of course, there are cases where they're very upset and they in a sense call it the Buddha, but the Buddha was always calm, welcoming them. Okay, so here the Bharadwaja, husband of Dhananjani, was polite to the Buddha. After greeting him, he sat down at one side. Seated thus at one side, the Brahmin of the Bharadwaja clan addressed the Blessed One in verse. Right? So the Brahmin is well educated, so who normally talk in verse. King su chitwa sukhang seti, king su chitwa naso jati, kisasu eka dhammasa, wadang rochesi Gotama ti. So notice he addressed the Buddha by name, so he kind of treat himself as equal to the Buddha. Now the verse translates, having slain what, does one sleep happily? Having slain what, does one not sorrow? What is that one thing, O Gotama, whose killing you approve of? So, well, he knows very well the Buddha talks about not killing and keeping the precepts and so on. Probably the Brahmini must have told him about it. So here he purposely challenges the Buddha. How is he going to talk about something that he rejects? Now let's listen to the Buddha's answer. Kodam jetva sukhang seti, kodam jetva naso jati, kodassa visa mulassa, maduragassa brahmana, vadang arya pasangsanti, tanhi jetva naso jati. Meaning, having slain anger, one sleeps happily. Having slain anger, one sorrows not. Anger with its poisonous root and honeyed shoot, O Brahmin, their killing the noble ones praise. For having slain them, one sorrows not. Okay, here's the 6 lines the Buddha speaks. And what happens? When this was said, the brahmin of the Bharadwaja clan said this to the Blessed One: Excellent Master Gotama, excellent Master Gotama. Just as if one were to place upright what had been overturned, were to reveal what was hidden, were to show the way to one who was lost, or were to hold up a lamp in the dark so that those with eyes could see forms. In the same way, in numerous ways, has the Dharma been taught has been made clear by the Blessed One, by the Blessed Gotama. I go to the Blessed Gotama for refuge, to the Dharma, and to the community of monks. May the Blessed One, okay, this last line, he says, may the Blessed One give me the going forth, papaja, give me the ordination, upasambhada. So he actually asked to join the order. So here we have a very short story where someone is upset with the Buddha. He challenges the Buddha answers his question, and he's convinced he becomes a monk. How can it happen so quickly, you might ask? Now, number one, this is a rather compressed story. There were many other things happening, so to speak, in between. But here we must remember, when we read this verse, the Buddha's answer about killing anger, we must remember, number one, who is talking? It's the Buddha, a very peaceful person. Imagine if you are actually meeting the Buddha himself, you're seeing the Buddha, it'd be a wonderful kind of experience. I mean, you can imagine today, it's a very easy way to imagine. Imagine someone you really admire, someone you really respect, someone still living today, for that matter, even someone dead. But someone living would be easier because you can actually approach this person. Or someone who's really, someone you really respect, even worship, whom you have visited, and you feel really happy, feel really inspired with this person. And imagine someone even more profoundly beautiful, profoundly inspiring, profoundly good, and you are with that person, and that person is the Buddha. Number two, how did the Buddha say these words? He has a certain beautiful tone to his voice. Imagine you're listening to some of the best newsreaders or some of the best commentators or storytellers, the best voice you've heard, so to speak. Right? Someone who is the most beautiful voice when he's talking. You notice some of the movie stars, it's just the way they talk, so beautiful, how they enunciate the words. Just to say a few lines, it's so beautiful to listen. The Buddha is much more than that. Number three, Bharadwaja's karma has ripened. I mean, he's born with, or rather he's married to a woman who is a saint. And you can imagine, in other words, both the husband and wife, their karma have ripened in their last life. So when someone like that meets the Buddha, it's obvious that some wonderful thing would happen. So in the case of the brahmin Bharadwaja, he felt he's ready to become a monk. And he knows very well his wife would approve. In fact, in a way, the wife already told him, in a sense, warned him and said, you will understand, right, when you meet the Buddha. So he becomes a monk. Then the story continues. Then, not long after he was ordained, the Venerable Bharadwaja, dwelling alone, aloof, diligent, exertive and resolute, in no long time, right here and now, having realized it for himself through direct knowledge, attain and dwell in the supreme goal of the holy life, for the sake of which sons of family rightly go forth from the household life into homelessness. He directly knew birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived. Done what is to be done. There is no more of this state of being. And the Venerable Bhara became one of the Arhats. And the sutta ends there. In fact, when you hear the name Bharadwaja, it's a very famous clan name. Even today we have Bharadwajas. It's one of the high caste Brahmin clan. In the Buddha's time, there were many Bharadwajas who became great monks, who became saints. You might say in his family, there are many Bharadwajas who became saints and became Arhats. So it is one of those names when you hear, it evokes a sense of kind of brings us back to the Buddha's time, or the days of the great saints, or when people had great faith in the Buddha and showed it openly. And when the Buddha was present, you could go up to him, talk to him, and feel that joy and peace. This is the essence of early Buddhism. It's very simple, very direct. There's no talk about imaginative paradises or some distant pure land, or all kinds of cosmic bodhisattvas and complex doctrines and long names of jhanas which have nothing to do with meditation. Here is a direct way, very simple, very clear practice of the Dhamma. And we should value this kind of teaching while they are available, while they are still understandable and we can practice them. So please seize this opportunity to practice the Buddha's true teaching while you can. Now let us close this study with a short reflection. The suttas contain many stories of people whose lives have been touched by the Buddha's teaching, or even challenged by the Buddha's teaching. And when we respond to this challenge, we find that it is something that we have to overcome within ourselves. It's not that we want to be better than the Buddha or even to knock down the Buddha, but rather to understand our own limitations and go beyond that. And this is what the Buddha is reminding us, that we can rise above all our views, all our knowledge, all our understanding to something much, much more liberating. And this is something we must always remember. There's something more beautiful than what we can imagine right here and now. Reflecting in this way is wonderful good karma. By the power of such good karma, may we be well and happy in this life itself. May we have the strength and wisdom to aspire to attain at least the level of stream winning in this life itself. And also in this moment of peace, let us send out our loving kindness to all those people who have been kind to us, by teaching us Dharma, by helping us in different ways, that they may be well and happy. And also our loved ones, our friends, people we know, people who have been kind to us and supporting us, that they may be well and happy. And also by this very same token, may those whom the Dhamma have not touched to see the Dhamma in this life itself and attain spiritual liberation. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.